If you're a controller player and you're looking for a great budget option for a pro controller, then the Turtle Beach Reactor might just be what you are looking for. So let's take a look at some of the features and why some people call it the best budget controller on the market. So let's get into it. Now, when it comes to the design of the Reactor controller, it does look a lot like a standard Xbox controller with the same button layout as you would expect. You do have your offset joysticks, your rounded D-pad, the standard X, Y, A, and B buttons, but then at the very top you have what makes the Reactor unique, which we'll get into after this. If we take a look at the bottom of the controller, we do have our headset jack, which is very important if you want to make use of all of the features. And then at the back, you have your two programmable buttons that are fairly easy to actually use and program as well. Now, if we take a look at what makes the Reactor unique, it is the three buttons at the top, and the button at the top left activates what Turtle Beach calls Superhuman Hearing. And what it does is it actually changes the EQ a bit and boosts the high frequency so you can hear enemy footsteps a little bit better. And it does give you a slight advantage, especially in certain 1v1 situations. Then to the far right is a mic mute button, and the middle button is a D-pad shift button. So while pressing the button, you can use your D-pad to increase or decrease the volume by using the up or down button. And you can change between the chat and game mix by pressing left for game volume and right for chat volume. Now, the function to change between game and chat volume is not available on Windows and only available on Xbox. So I wasn't actually really able to test it out in depth since I don't actually own an Xbox console. Now, I was able to test the game volume, and it's fairly easy. You just hold down the shift button and increase or decrease your volume depending on how loud you want the game to be. Then behind the controller, you do have your two mappable buttons that you can use to map any button to. And I actually love the flat design over the pedals that you usually get with these, as these are much easier to press for me and doesn't require a lot of travel for your fingers to actually use them. Now, to map the buttons are also really easy, and all you have to do is double tap the middle D-pad shift button, then press the action button once that you want to map to, and then press the button that you would like to map to that button, and that is it. Now, if you wanted to map a different button to that action button at the back, all you need to do is go through the same steps again, and then just map the different button to that. So all you would do is double tap the D-pad shift button again, press that back button that you want to map to, and then just use the different one, and it will automatically overwrite that. And then, of course, if you want to actually remove all mappable buttons on that, all you need to do is double tap the D-pad shift button and then double tap the action button at the back, and you will no longer have any buttons mapped to that button. And then I will also suggest that you download the Turtle Beach Control Center app just to update your controller to the latest firmware to ensure that it is working the way that it should be. Now, all the audio features, as mentioned before, do require you to actually plug in a headset to the controller itself to be able to use. So for example, if you want to use Superhuman Hearing, you'll actually have to plug in a headset. And if you don't plug in a headset, it just becomes a standard Xbox wired controller. Now, as far as how the controller feels, it does feel very similar to that of a standard Xbox controller. You do have the grips on the side that feel really good, and I love that it isn't rubber, as sometimes those tend to peel off of the controller over time the more you actually use them. Then the back buttons are really easy to press, and it feels comfortable to hold the controller in the position needed to use those buttons, and it feels really lightweight, making it easy to use the controller for extended periods of time. Now, while testing the controller, I found myself not caring too much about the features, and yes, I did test this mostly on PC, meaning that the D-pad shift button was fairly useless apart from the custom buttons that you can assign, but I never felt like I wanted to reach for the Superhuman Hearing button because 1v1 situations had me focusing more on the opponent rather than on my controller. Now, I do have to add, I love how easy it was to actually press the Superhuman Hearing button and to activate it. And if I remember to use it, I have to say that it actually did help quite a lot. Now, Superhuman Hearing does raise the volume as well as the highs while removing some of the bass from the EQ. And what that does is it allows you to more easily hear enemy footsteps, as those are usually in the higher frequencies, but it also means that you hear explosions and other lower frequency noises less. So you do have this sort of trade-off. So it isn't a mode that I really enjoyed playing in all the time, but once you actually need it, it does come in quite handy, but then it is also a quick shut off again, as I don't actually like that audio to play with all the time. For me, the Turtle Beach Reactor controller is a great budget-friendly option for anybody looking for a pro controller but doesn't want to spend the pro price. You get 2 mappable buttons, a controller that feels great in hand, and superhuman hearing that can mean the difference between a clutch or a fail, and all of this for a third of the price of an Xbox Elite controller. So if you're looking for a great pro controller for your PC or Xbox, then you definitely need to give the Turtle Beach Reactor a chance. And then, as always, until next time, cheers.